Hi everyone and welcome back to Locked In, the platform where we at Cuboid get to talk about stuff. The purpose of the video series is to explore various topics which will help educate, inform, bring awareness and hopefully create that light bulb moment for our viewers to consider self-storage as a great investment choice. In today's episode, I'm joined by
Simon Forrester, Chief Executive of the Self Storage Association UK.
Stephen Ramage, Membership Acquisitions Officer of the SSA UK.
And Paola Barazza, CEO of FEDESA, the European Federation.
Delighted to have Paola and Simon and Stephen with us today. Thank you very much for joining us and for your time. So now to frame this conversation, I'd like to think what we've done in the Locked In episodes to date has pretty much evidenced why self-storage is a great investment choice and hopefully contributed to being the catalyst for someone thinking and making that leap to the next tangible steps to enter this market. With that in mind, assuming you don't have a bunch of contacts in your personal network, a logical place to start your journey would probably be with a relevant regional association, and naturally, that's where you guys get to come in. So before we jump into the detail of the conversation, I'd like everyone just to introduce themselves, talk a little bit more about your role within the associations, and how you come to get into the industry.
Well, I've only been in the industry since September last year, so a few short months. My background is in association management, so I worked in a variety of different sectors, healthcare, tourism, construction, even pest control. So I know Kirit's been having a right laugh with us about me running pest control, and now I can't deal with the pest customers that you've got, sorry. But yeah, my role as CEO is to oversee the direction of travel for the association. It's to bring the members together, it's to ensure that our business plan is delivered, and obviously head up the staff team, liaising with the board, because we're run by our volunteers. We'll get into how the association structures, but that's essentially my job.
Excellent, thank you, Simon. Over to you, Stephen.
So I come into the industry from the motor trade. I was in the motor trade for 10 years. I actually, like many people, got involved in the industry by complete accident. I applied for the wrong job. I thought I was applying for a recruitment job, but I met Rennie and the rest was history. So he brought me in to head up the membership acquisition side of things. It was a new role, nobody had done that before, and we were looking at getting people who were in self-storage doing it the right way. So it was my job to bring them in and sort of show them the light, really. And that was back in 2021. So yeah, time's flown. It's been good.
Fantastic, what a story. Applied for the wrong job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely love that. It was destined.
Yeah.
It was destined for you. Great, thanks for that, Stephen. And finally, Paola.
So my story, well, I have to go back 20 years. Yeah. So I started at Sugarguard. It was also was just looking for a job, and I started, and then I stayed there for 10 years. I worked in the marketing department, and I left in 2013. And then just like it sometimes happens, just a phone call 3 years later from Michael Vogelberg, who is the godfather of the self-storage industry. He said, hey, FEDESA is looking for somebody. And 1 month later, I joined FEDESA, and I just celebrated my 10th anniversary. And now I'm, since October last year, I'm the CEO of FEDESA. So
Fantastic. Also, what a journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant stuff. I do like how there's similar stories leading to people just falling into this industry.
I think you get it a lot in the industry.
It does happen a lot.
Yeah.
It does. Even myself joining the industry, I joined it not knowing anything about self-storage and absolutely obsessed with it now.
People join and then they don't leave. People have said to me, it's a really sticky industry, you'll never leave. And it's almost like...
It's like Royston Vasey. You'll never leave.
Should I be worried? But actually that's really encouraging, because people say it's a very warm and welcoming sector, and once you're in, it's like, why would I move to something else? So that's really positive.
Yeah, I think drawing the sort of parallels to other markets, it's probably the most open and transparent, friendly, data sharing market I've ever known, and hopefully that continues for a long time. But all real good things to hear. I think just to start us off, I'd like to delve into a little bit about some of the feedback that we get from the Cuboid side about the SSA and FEDESA as organisations, as associations. I think there is a little bit of a grey area in there of what do you guys actually do, and what can you offer the operators, and why should they engage with you guys? What's the benefit of doing so?
Well, from the SSA perspective, we look after the UK industry, and Fidessa is an overarching body. I'll let Paolo talk about that in a second, but for the UK sector, so for the operators and the suppliers and investors that are operating within the UK market, we are here to ensure that standards are set and maintained, to head off any regulatory challenges. So if government starts to look at what we're doing and go, we don't like the way that's working, we're here to try and combat that. So whether it's rateable values or anti-competitive behaviour, we're here to protect the sector. And that's what associations are really there for. They're there to be the voice of that sector to government, but also set those standards. So I'll let Stephen talk about the benefits, but that to me is why I'm involved in this industry. It's because it's a growing sector that needs to police itself. What we don't want is the government to step in and say, right, we're going to set how you operate.
Have you seen that happen in other industries? Can you give us an example of something more tangible along that?
Yeah, well, the funeral directors, not a sector I've worked in, one of the few, but they suffered some really bad press around pricing, and obviously some very high profile nasty incidents that happened, and government have come in and said, okay, we will now regulate how you price that sector.
Right, okay.
So they're quite restricted in how they package up their pricing for their customer base. So that's problematic. We want it to be a free and open market, and for everyone to be able to set their prices as they see fit.
Yeah, I think it's a really key point actually to get across to people. So, Stephen, do you want to elaborate a little bit on Simon's?
Yeah, so in terms of benefits, it's whatever anybody gets out of it is. There's all the legal support that we offer. So quite often we're getting phone calls every single day. So under the bonnet. So what a lot of people don't see is the calls that we get and the emails that we get from members daily, asking for advice and help. So the helpline, just having a second voice sometimes. A lot of the times people know what to do, but before they take that steps to do that, they want to check with us first and make sure I'm doing this. Is it going to come back on me negatively if I do this? And we make sure that they're within their legal rights to do it. They're within the contract and give them advice on that. So legal lab is really, really important. You mentioned before how open the industry is as well. So I like to describe it as a bit of a conduit as well between suppliers and operators. It's a great place. We put on some conferences, the webinars, but we listen to members. We ask them what they want. They tell us what they want, and then we create resources, whether that be a webinar that we'll just arrange on the fly because we're getting so many questions about a certain thing, or whether it be a quick guide, or whether it be a piece of resource or some documentation like a disaster management guide. So we can send that out to them and say, if you're experiencing this problem, this is what to do. There's a great document that's available to all members called the MAP, which is the Manual Advice and Procedures. And that is what it says. It is a map on how to get through different occurrences and issues that they might find. So over the 31 years that we've been going, obviously I'm sure we'll get we've had lots and lots of questions and lots of situations and weird and wonderful scenarios where people might find themselves in. We've documented pretty much all of that, and then found a way out of that and how to help an operator get out of those situations. So there's so much experience in the building. They can pick up the phone and ask questions, but also as well, it's a great place for other operators to ask questions and answer questions. Like you said, it's so open. I used to work in the motor trade, and we were competing with businesses in Scotland. We were in Stoke. We were competing with garages in Scotland, in London, because Auto Trader existed. And we had to price cars and sell cars and then compete with people in Edinburgh and London and say, oh, I can buy it in Edinburgh and they'll deliver it to me. So that it was so competitive, whereas this is the complete opposite. So we get customers, we get operators that are just down the road from each other recommending their competitor to join the association. There's not many businesses and not many industries where people would recommend their competitor to join an association that's there to help their business because they're competitors, but they're not, because basically they want to just push the industry forward. So we're here to encourage that absolutely as well, and offer our support where we can. So I obviously speak to a lot of non-members and a lot of people that, as I say, I try and help see the light. One thing they ask is, or one thing I say to them a lot is, the questions you're asking, the same people asked these questions 10 years ago. and they're going to be their members. They're going to be in the same room as you. You're going to be in the same room as them. So you can ask us all you want. None of us have owned and operated a self-storage facility, but there's so much experience out there that they can learn from. So yeah, they ask the same questions that you were 5 or 10 years ago, and look at them flying now. So speak to them as well, get involved, and yeah, that's what I'd say to anybody as well looking at getting into the industry. Just get involved, just dive in, because it's so open and helpful that they won't regret it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, a really good take on it there.
It was
Really
a really
good
long
take.
answer as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
whoa.
It was, but I'm quite impressed, to be honest with you. I think maybe I found.
Where do I sign?
I think maybe I've found my new co-host.
Yeah.
Seeing as you've been giving me quite a lot of grief today, Simon, thank you. Paula, let's talk a little bit about Fidessa.
Yeah.
Over to you.
So yeah, Simon and Stephen explained very well what the SSA UK does on a national level. Well, Fidessa, we give the national associations our support, because we have in each, well, not in each, but we have like 50 national associations, and we give them the support. The support means like, yeah, we give a very important thing is the CNN standards, so the European standards that are very important. So when Fidessa was founded, they created that document, but of course over the years, the industry has changed.
It evolves, yeah.
So there we play a role as well. We have to, we're going now through the process of revising the standard and updating them. So we hope that this year we can end the year with a new update. We also provide the data to our national associations, because of course their members are also our members, and we want to give them support. Of course, the SSA UK has a great team, but there are other national associations who don't have the support like you have. And there we play a role by, do they have a local event? We give them support. Do they need legal advice? We're there. So that's what we try to do. We try to make sure that the industry grows, that we share best practices, and that's a bit the role. And also political monitoring, there's things that's changing. We're playing a big role in the lobbying. So it's more on a European level that Fidessa works. That's the big difference. A national association is really local, national, and Fidessa is really on the European level.
And it's really important for me. I mean, I know, post Brexit, you might think, well, it's Europe, it's separate. We're not affected by it. But what happens there is going to impact on the UK.
Yeah.
So we're seeing stuff coming through in other countries around anti-competitive behaviour, about changes to terms and conditions, so government and consumer associations in different countries imposing conditions on operators. And because we're part of Fidessa, we're getting sight of that, and also what's coming through from Brussels in terms of changes to consumer law, and we can adapt to that and make sure that we're structured right. And I mean the best benefit is the European standard. It's a British standard as well for those who are not fans of the EU, but it's a cross European standard, and that's the basis for our vetting process. So we vet our members against that standard, and that gives the consumer that confidence that they can store their belongings or run their business through one of our operator members, because we assess them against that standard. So without Fidessa, we'd be lost in terms of that structure. We'd have to reinvent it.
It definitely sounds like Paula is more important than you are, Simon.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
seems to wear many more hats than you are.
She sits there. Yeah,
I take care of you.
She looks after us. Yeah, as she said this morning, how have you got all this time to do all these podcasts? I've barely got 2 hours, and I'm like, well, maybe that's a separate discussion point.
No, I think we can always see at the trade events, and whenever we see all you guys together, it's an extremely close knit team.
Yeah,
I think we all vouch
which
that.
is
Very
important
good
as
team.
well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Symbiotic.
Yeah.
That brings us nicely onto our next point, really, and it's almost the link between the two associations. You've got the Fidessa and the SSA UK, and you touched a little bit on where you collaborate, how you join together and gel together. Where's the key in that? What's the really important bit that you would say between the two relationships is vital?
I think it's having that network of other people like me or other organisations like SSA all getting together. So our colleagues from the Nordic countries and Spain, Portugal, and all around Europe get together to say, right, what are the issues that are affecting our members? Because there's always differences in the markets. And for example, in Austria, they're more advanced in terms of micro sites. So they've got these little city centre sites, which we haven't really got as much in the UK. So we're looking at that and going, okay, if our members want to start moving into an old Woolworths building in the centre of town, how would they do that? Well, there are other markets that are more advanced, so let's learn from them.
So it's picking learnings from both sides.
Sharing,
Absolutely.
sharing knowledge, best practices, and that's important. And that's why, well, we have a general council as well with FEDESA and the other national associations, and we try to be, we're reviewing as well our strategy because of the change and everything. And I think what's important for us now, and also within FEDESA's new strategy, is to be more transparent and to share and to get more often together and learn from the other countries, because you can learn a lot from how it's going in one country and maybe apply it as well in the different and the other countries. So,
Absolutely.
So that's really an important role.
So, you know, some really interesting information about how the two associations collaborate and the benefit to the industry for that. But let's wind it back a little bit and go right back to the beginning. Where did it all start? Who started first, and you know, who started it, and you know, which one's growing quicker, and
who's best?
we were going to get to that.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
we'll get to that.
Well, I know the SSA UK was first. That I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was 31 years ago. So I think it was people had seen things happening in the States and looked to the UK to say, okay, how can we establish something? So it was created first in the UK, and then I think as things developed, you think it was before that?
Well, I know that, FEDESA was founded in 2004, and the UK was already before that. And
yeah, we were 95.
UK, so how it happened is that, sorry.
No, that's...
So first was the SSA UK, because the industry was growing there, and they were doing a lot of great things for their operators. But then slowly, the industry started to grow in the other European markets, and European operators, they were saying, oh, okay, there is this association in the UK and they do great stuff. And they started to apply to be a member of the SSA UK. And that's where they realized, hey, we need a European association. But instead of creating like a big European association, they said, let's try to establish a European umbrella body, and then let's keep the other countries to have their own association, because then they can deal with the local issues their country are dealing with. And that's a bit how it started. And then, so in 2004, Germany, UK, Italy, Netherlands, and France, they founded FEDESA. And then over the years, other countries joined the association. And it was also because the first thing that they created was the CEN standards, because the removal industry, they wanted to include self-storage in their European standards. And then we said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. And that's a bit, short, how it started.
Yeah. So a few visionary people from different countries in Europe as operators getting together and saying, guys, we've got to organise ourselves and head off well, I suppose they saw it as a threat of the removals industry kind of consuming self-storage within it. So yeah, but I've got to say the two do coexist quite nicely now. We got very well with our colleagues at BAR.
Yeah, I know they're heavily involved, and likewise with their association, so we see that a lot. Now, I know we've touched a little bit upon, you know, roughly what the associations do, and I'd like to take it back again and just get a little bit more granular. And I'll give you some feedback that I've heard over my years in the industry, that an annual membership can be quite a costly exercise to go on. It can be something that a lot of people meet with, it's quite a bit of money to become a member of the association. I think it is also not understanding the benefit of being an SSA or FEDESA member. So, you know, I'm a new time customer into the industry. I'm looking at joining, and my first initial view is, this is a big cost. You must get that quite a lot.
Yeah, I get that quite often.
And,
yeah.
and how do you counter that? I mean, we all know around the table what the benefit is. But
Well, I mean, the benefit, the cost of join will pay for itself tenfold just by having one customer that hasn't paid and you dealing with that in the right way and the way that we can help you how to do that. Everyone's going to get at least one customer who hasn't paid. And then what they do with that will affect their business massively. If they have one break-in, for example, and the bad PR that can cause, membership alone would counteract that, and we can then give advice on how to deal with that, how to try and stop it in the first place, and how to try and prevent it as best as possible, but also the aftermath. So, for example, how much would it cost a new entrant into the industry to go and get a contract drafted up by a solicitor? We're probably talking thousands of pounds. And will that be self-storage specific? Will it be a self-storage specific solicitor that's drafted that up? How well did they know the industry? Or will it be based on a rental agreement or a tenancy or something like that for, a hotel, like a hotel-based contract or something like that? And that's going to then cost them even more money if that contract's even slightly wrong. So just using the contract, having access to the contract straight away would pay for membership 10 times over straight away. So obviously it's a cost, and when somebody doesn't know exactly what we do, they'll see a fee and they'll go, well, that's a lot of money. And if I'm setting up a facility, I've got to consider security cameras, I've got to consider fences and gates and things like that. So, but I'd say that joining us and paying that fee, we can tell you who to use, how to use them, and also you can benefit from not only ourselves as well in the industry and the knowledge that we've got, but the tons of knowledge in the industry as well. So I always say to people, if they have a question that we can't answer, then we will find the answer from somewhere, and that's going to be from another supplier in the industry, it's going to be from another operator in the industry. So yeah, I think membership's an absolute, obviously a bargain personally for what you get out of it, but I've got to try and get that across to people, and I do that a lot sometimes, but the cost is always an issue for everybody.
it kind of drives into a point that we've been talking about for the last few episodes of, if you're new to this market and you're starting, start right from the beginning, do it the right way.
It's going to cost you more if you start wrong and then have to put all those things
exactly
right.
That, yeah. Exactly.
So spend the money right first time. What is it? Measure twice, cut once. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, Simon, do you want to elaborate at all? Do you want to?
I thought that was a really good summary. All I would say is, coming from other sectors, I see other associations offering a lot less for a lot more subscription rate. I was really quite surprised for someone new starting in the sector. You've got quite a small unit. It's £500 ish.
£510. I think.
Yeah. So again, a tenner a week to get access to all of this, to help you to build your business right from the start, that is not a lot of money.
And any given month, on average, we're putting on 5 or 6 events, whether they be webinars or in-person things. So, having access to all that information and all the previous things we've done as well. So you can go on our website and you can just type in business rates at the top if you're struggling with business rates, or insurance questions, and there'll be tenfold of resources just saying, this was a webinar we did in 2024 all about business rates from a specialist to give you advice on that. So that's invaluable. You can't put a price on it. We do put a price on it, but you can't put a price on it. I think it's great stuff.
How to deal with the death of a storer.
Yeah.
Something people don't think about until it happens, isn't it? Yeah.
So again, we've been through the loop. What happens if you find, as I'm going down that line, you find cremated remains in your unit? Can they be sold? What do you do with them? Can you throw them away? So all of that is there in that map and the guidance we give through our website to our members. So we think the value there is well, Stephen said tenfold. You'll definitely make your money back on the first time you use it, and then it's there for you thereafter forever. Another thing Stephen touched on, but I think is worth emphasising, is that network of contacts in the industry, not just the suppliers, but also the operators. You've got WhatsApp groups. So when you join as a member, we put in a WhatsApp group if you want to. So again, you can just ask the industry a question.
There's some great conversations that happen on those groups as well.
And
they go on tangents a lot of the time, and we have to stop it a little bit sometimes.
But they are really valuable, because again, you're hearing from people that are living it day in, day out. We're slightly removed from it. So if you want to find out what people think of a particular product or a service, go and put it into the group thing, and 5 or 6 people will get in touch and just give you their personal views on it, and that's really, really valuable.
If somebody the other day asked me, "Oh, do you know a supplier that provides trolleys?" And I was like, I don't actually know, but there's the WhatsApp community. And within 5 minutes, they had like 3 different companies of, these guys did a trolley for me at my house, give them a call. Perfect. That's exactly what it's there for.
Yeah, I actually think that your network is probably your biggest asset.
Definitely, yeah.
To be honest. And
yeah, and I think as well for the other national associations, you're really a good example of how you should do it, because you're a big national association, but the other we have the same experience in the other associations where members say, yeah, but we pay a lot, but it's important to give something back as well, and to explain your members or your new members, like, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we can in which we can support you, and also explain them a bit, like, hey, we get support of Fidessa can help you as well. Yeah. It's part of educating and showing them that they get value back for.
Yeah, I mean, we can answer a lot of questions we get asked, but there's some that we can't. None of us have ever owned and operated a self-storage facility. So, but we know a lot of people who have done. So we can just say, well, we don't know the answer to that. Get in touch with such and such, and we'll give you their details. We'll check with them, and then they'll just get, and whether they meet them at trade shows, whether they drop in an email, or whether they just organise a meeting with them to just pick their brains on something. That's what we're there for as well.
Absolutely. To play devil's advocate a little bit, if I was now a mature operator, I've been part of the SDA or Fidessa for a number of years. I've gone from site 1 to now site 10. Why do I have to keep paying? Why do I keep needing that membership every year?
Well, I think for larger companies, I mean, I may be speaking for some of the sort of top 10 operators out there. It's not only, they've probably got their own legal teams and their own teams helping them to produce everything, but it's also about giving back to the industry and being part of the industry and contributing.
Massive part.
Because that's also, that reflects well on them, that they are supporting the sector. So I'm sure some of those top 10 operators don't really need to be a part of us, but it's valuable for them to be. Also, they're inside the tent, they're able to influence. So we were talking about, if something serious happened in the sector and there was a real legal challenge to the way things were operating, if they're not a member, they're not around that table. So instantly they have no voice. All they can do is say, oh, and we agree with that, or we disagree, but they're outside the tent. So for us, I think that's another key part of that value, is they can help to influence the direction of the sector. But what I will say is, it's kind of one member, one vote, not one man, one vote. So each whether you're a single site operator or you're Big Yellow or Shoreguard, you've got the same say in the association. Everyone gets the same vote.
Okay, I think that's important.
And they may have been in the industry for a long, long time and have plenty of sites, but they're going to hire staff that have never been in the industry before. They're going to deal with customers who've never used self-storage before. So if a brand new staff member doesn't know the answer to a question, they're going to be straight on the phone to us, and we're going to help them. If a customer they're dealing with has never used it before and they want help, we'll deal with them. So again, they're the higher ups and the CEOs. They might be very well versed, and like you say, they don't need the legal help because they've got their own legal departments. But we're always going to be there for every single one of their staff members. Each and every single staff member. There's the YSN, the Young Storage Network for the people under 40 that are joining the next generation as well. It's perfect for those type of people who then want to further their career in the industry too. So again, I think joining the association and being part of the SSA is absolutely ideal for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think as the market's mature and and
it evolves.
The next decades go, I think the end users for self-storage are going to put a bit of weight behind the operators that are accredited, that are part of the SSAs. Yeah. But if I was a consumer, I'd be looking for those types of accreditations just to be comfortable.
Yeah, and that's what we're putting out even more into the public as well, getting it out there and saying, use our members. This is what this logo means. Like, customers won't know what our logo means until they ask. They're just going to say that's a logo on a screen. They need to know what that logo means. Exactly. So we're here to tell them what it means.
Yeah, we're starting more of that B2C work, as we said in the early podcast about the research is showing that awareness is going up, but it's still gradual. There's still about half the people out there that don't really understand what self-storage is. So we want the SSA logo to be that shorthand for we can store with confidence, with that
trust.
and that's that shorthand. They've been vetted. They've got all the support that we offer, so I can leave my belongings or my business with them and feel confident that they'll still be there tomorrow and they'll be supporting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like all of this sort of platform we're doing now, and lots of other collateral that's around in the industry. It's just about raising that awareness, and it's really, I think it's really interesting that you're now looking at the B2C angle, trying to take this to the wider public.
Even going on national
turn
news
will-
maybe and talking about self-storage on national news.
Yes, we should point out that our star here, Stephen, was
TV's own Stephen.
TV Stephen Ramage was on the ITV News talking about what SSA does for its members and the standards that we hold. And out of that, we had several member inquiries, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, normally people from Stoke-on-Trent are on news for different reasons. But I was there in a positive light, trying to spread the industry, trying to spread the awareness and what membership means, and that to the general public, make sure you make sure that a site is a member before they use it. There may be one or two places out there that might be falsely using our logos. So don't just trust that. Give us a ring and drop us an email. We're encouraging people to do that so that we can say that, yeah, they're members and this is why they're members, because they do that and that right.
So, Paola, on a European level with Fidessa, are there any key differences in the value that you're giving towards your members?
There are. So, what a lot of members don't know is that we check as well everything what's changing. For example, we are in contact with the Political Monetary Agency, which gives us updates on changes in consumer law. Now as well, you have this change in e-invoicing, which is really in Belgium, for example. You're really obliged to all your invoices have to go through this specific system. You can't send your invoice in a PDF, so it's changed in the So you really, as a company, it's important that you register, because otherwise you can get a fine. So what we do is that we get on a monthly basis updates. We share that with the associations. A specific email like, hey, these are the changes. It could be that this change is in a few months, but we keep you updated so you know it and you can react and share this with your members, because that's important. That's really important that they share the information with their members. And I know, for example, that the German association is really good in this as well. They share it and they keep their members updated. Another thing we're doing is we have our European self-storage report that we launched this week. So we send all our members of each association as well, like the email with the survey, and there is a lot of effort that we put in it because it's just not a report that you write like that. We ask members, please provide us the update. We review all the results. We write the report as well, and then we also do a public survey as well to know, okay, in specific countries, do people know what self-storage is? So it's a project of at least 4 months before you get the final result.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit like ours on steroids, frankly. The comparison, and it's really valuable for me that comparison between the UK and the rest of Europe, just to be able to sort of benchmark ourselves and see which areas are more advanced in certain areas and try and learn from them. And just to pick up on the point Paola made there about sharing knowledge. The e-invoicing isn't in the UK, but if it is in the future, I know what to do. I know how to support my members. So without Fidessa and Paola's support, we'd be sort of floundering around going, well, how do we react to this? So that's another real value for us in the Fidessa relationship.
And we're also there to lobby if it's necessary on a European level, because sometimes we need to play a role. And then Fidessa is there to stand up and to go into discussions if it's necessary. I haven't experienced it yet, but
yeah, absolutely. And again, post Brexit, this is our only way of influencing what European policy is. There is no other way for a European association to do that, because we can't lobby Westminster, because they'll go, well, we're not part of the European Union anymore. So for us, this is really, really important too. So fingers crossed we never have to use it, but it's great to know it's there. It's like an insurance policy for us.
Yeah, and also, and the other, like I mentioned earlier as well, the CEN standards. It's a big project as well, because you need to get everybody involved and sit together and go through all the changes, and it's like in some countries they say, yeah, no, we want to mention this, we want to include garage. So there is a lot of discussions also about containers. Like it's the document you can offer to your members before you get there. It's also, yeah, there's a lot of work and time that we spend in it.
Yeah, I think the previous episode we were talking with Cushman and Wakefield on the UK report, and getting a deeper understanding into what actually goes into that. The effort and the tasks involved is huge. Hopefully this podcast helps educate people in the market a little bit to how important and in-depth that report is and how hard it is to compile all that data. So great stuff. Keep it going. Love it. I think before we move into sort of the closing end of the discussion, I think it'd be really valuable for, you know, potential customers of yours really that are watching this. Can you map out a sort of a generalized journey a customer will go on from entering the market? I haven't done my self-store yet, but I'm going to sign up to the SSA because that feels like the right thing to do. You know, from that point there to, you know, inception to growing portfolio, becoming a member of Fidessa, and now you're starting to go into trade shows, and some of the trade shows are across Europe, you know, looking at multiple sites. How does that member's journey map out for you guys that you traditionally would see?
Yeah, so we try and provide a little roadmap for them. So when they're entering the industry, when they've made that decision, or even if they're just sort of thinking about it, we're there to support them. So from their inception, so we speak to people who don't even have a site yet. They've just heard about the industry and they think, well, I've got some capital, or I've got actually a building that I want to turn into self-storage. What's the first thing I need to consider? What do I need to do? So we encourage those people to speak to us. They can become what's called a subscriber. That's just £420 for the year. And from that, they basically get, I mean, one of the benefits they get is something called a Getting Started guide, which again is absolute gold dust. It's something that shows them what they need to consider when they're opening a facility, what their end game is as well, how to set that facility up, what the standards are. It's almost a bit of a checklist that they can use to say, I need that. And then not only that, we can provide them with the suppliers that they need to speak to check that checklist off. So, and what to consider that they might have not considered before. Loads of webinars and videos that we've recorded from industry experts, from suppliers such as yourselves, to operators that have been doing it for a long time, to say, this is what I did, this is what we did wrong, this is what we did right, and this is what you need to consider. Having a supplier directory, having access to us as a helpline as well, that's all what a subscriber gets. The in-person events as well, where they can meet people who've been in the industry for a long time. They can meet people who are at their level as well, and they can have discussions about what they're each doing, whether they're an external operator, whether they're an internal, or whether they've got a mix of both. So we then set them a goal to say, you need to meet these standards. If you meet these standards, you can move on to the next stage, the final stage, which is full membership. And that's where you get absolutely everything that we can offer. So that's when you get all the legal help, that's when you get the contract, that's when you get access to all of the webinars, all of the resources. And it's only, so if you're a small site, the difference between a subscriber and a full membership is about £150. If you're a larger site, it's only about £300. And if you've already paid your subscriber rate, if you upgrade within the same year, you just pay the difference between the two anyway. So it's almost like a deposit on your membership, but you're still getting that support from us. You can still pick up the phone at any time, and well, as long as it's from 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. And we can answer the questions, or we can put you in touch with somebody and help you get to that stage, which is then a full member. That's when my colleague will come out. Emma will come out. You've met Emma before. I'm sure a lot of people have met Emma. She'll come out to your site, and she'll make sure that everything's in place, all those standards that that you've said you've got in place, and then once she's confirmed, yeah, she'll check all the insurances are correct, the things that you've ticked off are correct, and then say, yeah, absolutely great, welcome to full membership. We'll get you accreditation, you get access to the rest of the material, a certificate to show that you're members, the logo to use on your website, and then, yeah, you're full members, and let's look forward to a great partnership.
Very good answer. I think you covered pretty much
Everything,
on
and
that
probably
roadmap
more as
there,
well. Sorry,
so-
yeah.
But you talk about that journey. I mean, that's the journey from sort of start to cutting the ribbon on your first site. But it's also then about how you upscale and go on to multiple sites. And we've got members with 100+ sites across the UK. And we're there with them in that journey. So when you're going from a single to multi-sites, we're talking in previous podcasts about making sure your data stack's right and your sites can talk to each other, and you've got that amalgamated data. Again, we can help with that process. We can introduce you to the right suppliers that are going to help you on that journey, and also help you with all of those little issues that arise that, again, we've seen 100 or 1,000 times with every other operator, that we can go, well, at this point, you're probably going to find that's an issue for you. So, as you start to go to multi-site, have you thought about this? Have you thought about maybe going to centrally controlled rather than having lots of people in doing the same job at different sites? How can you adapt? So come and have those conversations with us, and we can support you in making the right decisions earlier, so that in 3 years' time, you're not going, why did I do that? I was spending so much on my head count. I could have got away with a lot less if I'd implemented some tech slightly differently.
No, it's a really important point. I think one of the things that I never even thought about until it happened was an awful fire. It was about 6 months ago or so, and crisis support. I don't think anyone really thinks about crisis and what happens if. We all hope it doesn't happen, and we put insurances in place to cover us if it happens. But what do we actually do if it was to happen to us? What's the net outcome for our customers, our business, our growth? What does that look like? How do we navigate that really, really tricky time?
But that's what we offer as well to our members, like the disaster management guide, where they can follow the full process. They only have to go to the website, of course, to download the document, but it's there.
So we've got the disaster management guide, which is across Fidessa, and the UK have just developed this crisis PR management. So the other side of that, and one of the reasons why Stephen was on TV was that there was an incident, some thefts from sites in Wales, and the press got hold of it. Lots of upset customers, belongings strewn around, and the press were all over it. And so we said, right, okay, we need to make sure that in the event of an issue, our members have got a structure to follow to minimise negative PR, because that not only helps them and their brand longer term, but it helps the industry, because all of those incidents where there are fires or thefts or floods or pest issues build up, and at some point some journalist or an MP is going to say, well, this industry's dodgy.
Yeah.
There's lots of fires, or there's lots of thefts.
Let's bring more regulations.
Yeah, we need to do something about this. So again, by handling the PR properly, so we've got a crisis management PR expert to write a document it's about 100 pages. It's not all relevant, so it depends which bit, but with a flow chart to take you through the steps you need to take, and for you to train someone on your team to be ready to deal with media inquiries in a way that will minimise the fallout for you longer term. And again, that's protecting your brand and the longevity of your business. And ultimately, when you go to sell that business, if blog self-storage is associated with, pest problems or whatever it is, that's going to get you a lower value for your business when you come to sell it. Yeah. So let's protect that brand.
Yeah, I think for me, that alone is what I would pay that membership for. So, Paola, we've heard a lot from Simon and Stephen about the UK side of things. But if I was an operator UK-based, this is where I am, this is where my business is, and as much as I'll go to the UK trade events and webinars and networking events, why would I necessarily go from the UK over to a Fidessa event? What's the benefit to me?
First of all, it's a European conference, so this is a UK conference. There you will get a lot of insight how it's going in the UK market. But at the Fidessa one, it's on a European level. So you will meet operators from all over Europe, even from South America, US, Asia. They will all be there. And it's like 2.5 days, because we first start with the facility tour where you get the possibility to see facilities but it's a day, 2 days where you get so many key insights on different levels, marketing level, on investors, acquisitions, everything that's going on in Europe will be discussed during those 2 days. And you will get the opportunity, even if you are a small Italian operator, you will go there and you will be able to talk to a big players like Sureguard or maybe Big Yellow or a Blue Space, and you will be able to share best practices, to get to learn from them, and that's the great thing, that everybody comes together and you learn from how it's going in the other markets, and of course it's a Boxtoberfest because it's in Germany. So the conference will take place from the 22nd till the 24th.
I don't drink at these conferences, Paola.
Of September, and it's in beautiful Wiesbaden. So it's close to Frankfurt. It's half an hour from Frankfurt. So you could combine like first 2 days of getting as much as possible information, networking possibilities, whatever, or what will give you information and will help you with your operational side, but then you can combine it with a perfect weekend in Wiesbaden, because Wiesbaden is known for wine, spa, so you can mix like the fun part but with the educational part.
Is that when you forget what you learned on the first 2 days?
Write it down. They do record the sessions, I'm pleased to say, so you'll get access. When you go, I can't quite remember that session, it was a bit early.
Right? No, but it's a great opportunity.
It is, and I think it works really well with the UK conference. They're opposite ends of the year. The perspective's slightly different, and while in the UK we do get European speakers from other countries, the focus for the UK conference is the UK. But you're gonna learn from and be exposed to ideas that are very different from sectors of the market that are far more advanced in different areas from the European perspective. So you'll be stealing a march on your competitors who are just focused on, well, what's the site down the road doing? Look beyond that. Look at Europe. Look at and see what you can learn from guys in Spain or
and
or the Nordics.
Even like I said, we have some operators that come from South America,
New Zealand, Australia.
You get the possibility there to learn how it's going in their country and how they deal with issues that maybe you're dealing now, and it's like we said earlier as well, and it's a friendly industry where people are open and are willing, if you're big or small, doesn't matter, you're there to learn from each other and to make the industry better and to grow, let the industry grow. And that's, what makes this conference maybe more unique than the UK one.
All I say is it's a different perspective, but it's one I think people should experience, because if you go to the UK conference for 3 years, you go to the European one and get a very different perspective, and it'll be like, oh, okay. Things are actually different outside the UK. There is a lot to learn there. It's a fantastic event.
And and the UK one is also a really great conference. I really enjoy being there and to learn how it's going in the UK. So
good. It leads me really nice into probably my final question, and then I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of a platform to do some plugs, talk about the events that's coming up. What's happening over the next 12 months, but. I think the real question that everyone will want to know is, who's better? Is it the SSA UK or is it Fidessa?
Is this where you go? There's only one way to find out to fight. So that's why I brought Stephen, just in case, because Paola's tough.
And I don't think one is better than the other. We compliment.
Absolutely,
That's the important part. I think it's not that one is better than the other.
Come on, Paola.
No.
The UK market is probably the most advanced in terms of its longevity in Europe. So we've been around longer, so there's more to learn because of our experience. But other markets have leapfrogged over. and have gone to they've kind of gone like, oh yeah, okay, well we'll just do that.
Take the best bits out of the UK, and now we're going to adapt it.
And so we're learning from them. And without Fidessa, we wouldn't have that access to do that. So it's absolutely vital for us to bring back to our members, look, here's how you can change. Think about these things.
Yeah.
Both on the supplier and the operator side, because again, for the suppliers, there's value in Fidessa because they're seeing what's happening on a European scale as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think before I give you guys the platform to talk about the upcoming events for Fidessa and the SSA, and you know, from a cuboid perspective, as a supplier that often goes to the events and supports and is there, we always have a fantastic time. It's always a really great few days for us. You know, of course, we do a bit of team bonding. I think we all know what that means. But no, even with operators, you know, whether they're clients or not, even with competitors, you know, we always have such a fantastic time those few days. So much that it often does feel like we've had a bit of a holiday, a bit of a break from the day to day. So from a supplier's perspective, really great events to be to. And I would urge everyone, you know, if you're interested about entering these markets, just invest a little bit. Go to these events. What you're going to get is so valuable. You know, and come and talk to the likes of Cuboid. Come and talk to us. You know, we'll help new people come into this sector and give you that roadmap on day one to opening. You know.
Yeah, well, I was going to say you guys are at almost all of these events anyway, so they can kind of combine the two, have a chat with you, and and see what the industry's all about.
Absolutely. Well, look, if I hand over to you guys, let's talk about what's coming up over the next 12 months. You know, events that's happening UK wise and Fidessa wise, just so our audience gets to know, okay, what's happening? How do I join? How can I be a part of this? And just outline what the activities look like for the next 12 months.
Well, you mentioned the conference, but you didn't say when. So tell us when.
I said when. So the Fidessa conference is on the 22nd till the 24th of September. It's in Wiesbaden. You fly to Frankfurt, and in half an hour you're there. You can buy your tickets. You can choose a full package, sessions only, dinners, facility tour. Right now we have the early bird rate. So I would say go and book your ticket today, because the early bird rate will end just before the summer. So don't be too late to miss this opportunity. And on the website, you can find more information where the venue is, regarding accommodation. You can find a selection of hotels. And yeah, just book your ticket, come to Wiesbaden and learn a lot about how the industry is growing, and just come. So you will have the Oktoberfest feeling as well when you come home. So it's
fantastic.
A win-win
We'll definitely
situation.
Be there.
Yeah, and on the UK side, there's some webinars coming up in the next month. There's some information and webinars about pricing, about marketing, about customer service. There's an interesting one coming up in June about branding and making sure your website is accessible and usable. There's some in-person events, like there's a golf day, which is my child, on the 8th of July. That's in a golf course not far from where the association's based in Nantwich. That's always a great day. We get lots of people, whether you're a golfer or not a golfer. It's all about the network. It's all about having a round of golf with new faces, new customers, old customers, having a drink at the bar afterwards. We're including an overnight stay in that one this year as well, so they get breakfast together the next day. You can go around and speak to everybody. There's the AGM coming up as well in June, and yeah, just there's lots of stuff coming up. We'll send it all out, telling people when to book, how to book. But yeah, no, it's like I said, we put on events on average 4 or 5 different ones each month, so there's always a chance to get involved and learn into network.
Yeah, I just to pick up on that, we're planning to do a race day over the summer. So again, if you're not into golf, but you fancy meeting up, yeah, it's a nice, relaxed atmosphere to go and mingle with the industry. So there's be a nice mix of suppliers and operators at that event. So that's a good one for the calendar, and it, relatively low cost. You can go over there and back in a day if you want to. We do our member networking events. So we've got the London one coming up, which incorporates our AGM. Then later on in the year, we've got one based at Squab Storage. All the details are on our website on the events page. We do a winter workshop, so that will be at the start of next year in Austria. So that's a chance to go away. If you ski, or even if you don't ski, it's a fantastic opportunity. About 50 people, so it's really limited. But if you're an operator and you want to hear from people and build real strong business relationships that are going to last for life, that is absolutely vital. It's an amazing event. I went for the first time earlier this year, and it really opened my eyes to the value of those long discussions about specific issues that people have got, and in an open environment where people were just said it like it is. Well, yeah, we faced that problem, or have you thought about this? It was like free consultancy for 3 days, and they got to go skiing and stay in a really nice hotel. So and we did some great business sessions. We had someone come in to talk about the customer perspective, like a real expert. We had a speaker to come and talk about valuations for sales. So everyone was taking a lot of notes on that, about how to get the best out of your site. And yeah, we did do the sessions too. So that was a really interesting session. We've just had our conference, so it's at Telford next year. I can't tell you where it is. If you come to our London event, you'll find out where it's going to be for 2027. But again, that's a fantastic opportunity for people coming into the sector to really get that knowledge base. And we put a specific theatre on just for people new into the sector, with speakers talking about what insurances you need, how to get planning, what to do about every single issue before you cut the ribbon on your first site. So there were 24 sessions across the 2 days, which was it was a lot to put together. But we want to take people from the start of their journey, right from the start, before they've even said, yeah, I'm going to do self-storage, right through the process. And that's why these events are so valuable. So those are our events. The other thing I would say is that we also produce a magazine, Unlocked magazine, which we do with Fidessa. And that goes out 4 times a year. That's really, really valuable. Again, great content in there. We feature people in it about their journey. We feature suppliers. So it's a great opportunity to just kind of read up about what's going on. A great sort of coffee break, sort of skim through. And again, practical advice. So Stephen was saying, we get people calling and going, what do I do about this? We turn those into articles. And that becomes really valuable, because then everybody gets to read about it and go, right, I need to read the quick guide on that, or I need to change how we do that. So, right, that's in a nutshell our annual calendar. But just go on the website, have a look, give us a call, have a chat with Stephen about it, and no requirement to pay anything over straight away. Come along and have a chat with us.
As long as it's after 5 p.m.
Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then in the pub thereafter.
I think we didn't mention e-news either. E-news is a great resource as well. So we do Unlocked 4 times a year, but we do e-news 12 times a year. So that is full of articles like Unlocked, but in a bite-sized sort of version of anything from marketing to security updates to container supply updates, for example, what's going on in the industry, news, new suppliers, new members, all these kind of things, some sales tips, market tips, all these sorts of things just combined into one nice little scrollable little package with e-news, I think is really, really valuable as well.
And we've got operators who use that as their training for their staff. So they take the e-bulletin and say, right, okay, now we're going to talk about this. Right, let's read this, and they get the quick guide out, and they say, right, let's go through it. How does this apply to our business? So they use it to train their staff, and the feedback we get is it's really, really positive. So that's really nice to hear too.
Good.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing as well. Like, we also have the Fidessa e-news, but I would also recommend to go and visit our website, because we also have other conferences in the other. We have conferences in the other countries. Like after the Fidessa one, we have the French conference, we have the Italian conference, which are also worth to go and see them. And that's how we want to support as well the other associations. So so if you're interested in starting up in France, just check our website and book your ticket. So it's really worth to go.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Well, that pretty much wraps everything up from me and the questions that I had for the team. Want to thanks to Simon, to Stephen and to Paula for their time today. Really greatly appreciated, and I think you'll agree, some really interesting insights and bits of information that's come across today that should solidify the point that if you are not already, absolutely the value in joining the FDESA and the SSA federations and associations is worth its weight in gold. So if you haven't done it already, go and get it done. The value is all there for you to go and get. Okay, great. That pretty much wraps things up for me. Thanks Simon, Steve and Paula for your contribution today. Greatly appreciated. I hope we've showcased the vast amount of experience, resources and guidance both the regional SSA and indeed FDESA can provide for both new and existing operators. But as ever, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So we're going to show you a couple of clips that were filmed in episode 2 of our podcast, where some of our customers talked about their experiences with the SSA.
My wife's a lawyer, and we use these other, for our commercial and residential properties, we use sometimes the industry bodies' legal departments, and sometimes they're wrong. We haven't yet found that with the SSA. We found actually the advice has been excellent, and we haven't needed to then look elsewhere for the answers. So, and that gives us more confidence then to use it more often, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
it's been great for us as well, because we were completely unaware of a lot of that information. So being able to tap into it and know that there's lots of clever people being meticulous about making sure that it is correct.
Yeah,
it's really reassuring.
We can't be experts in everything. We do what we focus in quite a narrow sort of entrepreneurial piece of work, and we hope to pull in these other elements that ensure that we operate robustly in the right way and that we're good to go. And I think, definitely the SSA really helps us with that.
So another plug for the YSN, for the Young Storage Network. Yeah. I mean, that's really good as well, because you get the short, forgotten the name of them now, the quick guides.
Yeah, quick guides,
So the quick guides, and then with the WhatsApp chat as well, they just periodically get posted in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to sit down and read through the whole manual, you just get a little snippet and it's like, oh yeah, actually, I forgot about that, or didn't realise that.
It's almost that shortcut to, I've got a problem here, where do I need to look? And if there's a sort of okay, just look here, the information's here, because we had a problem I was speaking to Martin about yesterday. And in fact, we've got a video call with the SSA this morning to cover off a particular technical issue we had. We spoke to Martin, he's given me some information overnight. We spoke to the helpline yesterday. They set up a video call today with Alex, who runs our business, to talk through that specific problem. Now, you don't get that in many places where you get that level of response. And I know we're going to be able to lean on that advice, which gives us the confidence to do it. But just to know that there's an answer here and this is where to look is invaluable. That helpline of just ring us and we'll point you in the right direction is brilliant.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
I'm not sure how it could happen, but it would have been really useful if I'd have gone to an SSA event before I started, because what happened is I built my facility, then turned up at a conference and a trade show and found out all the suppliers and everything. It would have been, I don't know how you get new people to join the SSA before they are an operator.
We have a cunning plan on that very point. Which again, I'll do a plug now, just for the conference in Telford, which is at the end of April, 29th and 30th of April.
Can you say that once more?
There'll be a logo appear here in a second. If I've got any influence on it. Contrary to previous years where it's just been about member companies that are already established operators, we're opening the trade show up to anyone that wants to attend. There's a fee to attend, but we've got speaker sessions running through both days, talking about everything from planning, insurance offer. So obviously, you've got to have some sort of insurance for yourselves, but also for your customers in place. So we've got sessions all the way through both days, and I'm not going to go through the full spiel on it, but have a look online. But it's pretty much a one-stop shop. So we've got sessions all the way through both days. And QBoy, you guys are really great sponsors and supporters of the event, those platinum sponsors. So come along and talk to the team at QBoy as well.
You heard it here first, everyone. Yeah, come to the show.
Join us next time for the next episode of Locked In.